and welcome to this week's edition of the EdTech Pulse. My name's Devin Austin, part of your emerging technology team, here to share with you some awesome ways that you can use technology to make your learning and teaching more visual. So, we're going to get started today by looking at a few things about visual teaching and learning. So, this book by Susan Daniels is amazing. If you want to learn more about visual teaching and learning, there's lots of others out there as well. But one thing that we want you guys to know is that visuals play a big role in how we process information. So, how we take all of that information in and how students take it in as well. So, when we think about visuals, it is important to note that we are really looking at how can we increase that engagement with students, develop those higher order Bloom's taxonomy thinking skills, think about connections that are made in order to recall, retain, and transfer learning. So again, I think of something like the ACT model, where students are acquiring the information, where they're making connections, and where they transfer that into their learning. And again, think of all of your diverse learners in your room like an elevator going up and down. We want to make sure that we are meeting them where they're at, and visual teaching and learning definitely does this as kind of that entry ground floor point to meet the students where they're at. Now, I have this awesome graphic about reasons to use visuals. Again, they are permanent. They help students to think about how they can become more independent, especially for our language learners. Visuals are key, and they help reduce anxiety. So some of the 9 ways here, as well, I have a little teacher checklist from that book that's going to get you to start thinking about how are you a visual teacher as well. So you can definitely check that out and see, what am I actually doing to make sure visual teaching and learning is happening in my classroom? Now, as we venture today through all of this, I want you to think about voice and choice, because that is so highly important for our students. When we think about UDL principles like engagement, where we want to increase motivation in our classroom, build those positive learning environments, we want to think about representation, not only as the teacher, but also from the student perspective, because we have those diverse learners in our classroom. And again, flexibility is key. We want to be in the moment with our students on how things are being presented and retained, and how students are demonstrating those cusp understandings in your classroom. And then moving to action expression, how do they take that, again, that transfer piece through, personalized learning? Again, visual learning is very personalized, which is amazing. Now, how can technology foster this? Well, think about all of those multimedia display elements that we use in our classroom on a daily basis. Again, things like simulations, virtual reality are all great ways that we can engage students in different ways of thinking. Again, representing things in code, graphic designing, using tactile things like maker-centered learning are all great ways that we can incorporate technology into our teaching. And for students, that builds creativity, accessibility, collaboration. We can do things like physical computing, and cross-curricular multimodal are so important in our thought process. All right, so I have some awesome things for you guys today. We're going to take a look at how we can use this little awesome microbit device to essentially create a tester that will tell us if a material conducts electricity or if it does not conduct electricity. So if you've never used a microbit before, they are very easy to use, very easy to code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead you through all of this today in order for you to use this. And as we're doing this, I want you to think how you might use visual teaching and learning with your students. So some examples that I suggest are things like brain dumps. So before starting, what do they actually know about electricity? Get them to write everything down, sketch note. All of those awesome things are a great way to see what they already know and then have them do a bit of a reflection, even if that's your brain dump, graphic organizer, them just sketching. They can express their thinking. So here's what we're going to do together today. So what I have here on my screen is I have the actual lesson, everything that you're going to need. It is linked. This is going to be in the Sway. So this whole presentation, there's a right towards the beginning, a link that you can click on to access these slides. I have included these videos here. However, we are going to do this live together today, okay? So a couple things that you're going to need to do first, okay? You do need the microbit to get this done. I would suggest battery packs. So if your school has these are awesome because they allow the students to move around. We're not tied to a device. As well, you're going to need a little cord here. This is what's going to allow me to connect my microbit to my computer. If you don't have the battery packs, think of this like your power cord. You're going to be able to transfer your code. We need things like alligator clips to create our circuits, to test if things conduct electricity or not, as well, just some materials that would and would not conduct electricity. So what you're going to simply do first is you're going to go here. You're going to go to the microbit make code. So how did I actually get here? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a tab. Simply just search the word make code in your web browser. And again, it's going to come here to make code for microbit is the first. Okay. Again, because you are using microbit, that one is okay to click on. You're going to open it up. And what you're going to notice is I've signed in. There'll be a little sign in button. This just allows you to save and delete and things like that, but not necessarily. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here to new project. And this is going to create the interface for you. I've already done the code and I'm going to lead you through that. So I'm going to go in here, but you're going to go in new project. So when I click, just a couple things that I want to show you. So you'll notice here, this is the code that we're going to need, and I'm going to lead you through and just replicate it. But we actually also have a virtual environment here that we are going to be able to use in order to test. So even if you don't have microbits, you can definitely do this as well. All right, so my forever block, again, you'll notice everything's color coded and nice and easy to find. I'm going to go to basic. Again, the forever block will be on your screen when you hit new project. But if you accidentally delete it, again, to delete something, I just drag it over here into my code blocks, and then the garbage can appears. I can get rid of it. Okay, so next I'm going to need my green. So this is my logic. So I need this one. So the if true, then else, this is going to allow me to do my code. Okay, next, we have nice little pins on the bottom of our microbit as an input. I need to go here and I need to find pin is pressed. And you'll notice the little diamond shape, it allows you to interchange those. I need to then select pin 1. I mean, you can select pin 0. It really doesn't matter. You just have to make sure wherever you put the alligator clips, it's the same. Then I can go here to my basic, show icon. I can decide to leave it as a heart, or drop down, I can do something else. And then I play my ringtone, which is my music. This is going to tell me if it's conductive or not. So I'm going to do, and again, it's just simple drag and dropping in there. Again, music, I need to go here to there. Anything that has a white background, I'm able to, you'll notice it's playing right now. I'm going to change it to 0 hertz. And then I simply need to go here back to my basic clear screen. And voila, that's all I need in order to code this. I'm just going to get rid of this so it doesn't do a double shot. All right. So now what do I need to do? I have my cord. I'm going to plug my little USB end into my USB port on my computer. That way I can do this. Now, one thing to note is my microbit has scalloped edges at the bottom. That means this is a version 2. So that means I have a little bit of an easier time transferring my code. Have no fear if you have a version 1. So again, you wouldn't have these little scallops at the bottom. You can still do this. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is my other end here, I'm going to need to plug that into the top of my microbit in order to transfer the code. Again, it's going to get going. One thing to note is that when I go to transfer the code, there is a couple steps. And I'm going to show you both ways for both versions. Okay, so down here, there is 3 dots to connect the microbit. Again, mine's already connected. I'm just going to disconnect it here. I'm going to go to my 3 dots. I'm going to go connect device. So if you have the scalloped edge at the bottom, version 2s, then you have the ability to hit connect device. If you have version 1, you just need to download it as a file, and then the students would essentially open up their files on their Chromebook or whatever device they're using and just drag it over. So I'm going to hit connect device, and I'm going to hit pair, and I'm going to select the microbit that shows up, and I'm going to hit connect. It says, oh, failed. Sometimes that happens where if I pair and disconnect. Now it says it's paired. Okay, for some reason it's already paired. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit download, and I don't know why it won't do that, but sometimes it does. You can just simply unplug, replug there, and for some reason technology trouble, but that's okay. So then what I would do is I would hit download, and you'll notice it's starting to download it to my microbit. Now, one thing that I want you to just make sure is if you do not have the battery pack, leave it connected to your computer. If you do have the battery pack, undo it. Simply at the top here, there's just a little port. You're going to put your battery pack in to your microbit. That way, this is your power source. Okay. Now, next thing that we need to make sure that we are doing is going here, and we're connecting our alligator clips. So remember, I was on pin 1, so I need to firmly place that on pin 1, and also on my very end, my ground. Okay. This is what's going to do the circuit. The other ends of the wires, I don't need to connect. Now, what should happen is if I conduct electricity, okay, I'm going to put my alligator clip on the one end of my paper clip. On the other end, you'll notice, and you hopefully can hear, I have my little heart and sound. Okay, that means it conducts electricity. If I was to do the paper, nothing should happen because paper does not conduct electricity. Nothing should show up on your screen. You shouldn't hear a sound. So very simple and easy to do this. Okay. If you need any additional support on microbits because you've never used them, then you can go to our Emerging Technology SharePoint under EdTech Tools, and that way you're able to have a little bit of an intro. to that, okay? So all of the little resources that you are going to need are here. So again, my intro video, this is from Microbit. So you can walk through or simply just watch my video to do this. Now, a nice little extension activity that I have for you is we can extend our learning by doing a Morse telegraph key by using some Lego, some rubber bands, a microbit, and some copper tape or some conductive tape, whatever you have. So I have what it looks like completed here, as well as the code if this is something you want to try. You do need a couple kind of different things here. You do need some Legos to build that Morse telegraph key. And one thing you kind of notice, you have some specialty parts here where you have little dowels and all of that. Again, you don't have to necessarily build it out of Lego, just an option. You do need a microbit. You do need some alligator clips. And one thing you're going to need here in the bottom is a servo control board. This is by Kitronic. So it's just a little extension piece. And they run about $13. And think of it, Morse code is like a switch when you're pressing it. So you do need to have that in order to rest the microbit in when you create the code. Okay. Now, I just want to thank you today for joining me and learning a little bit about how you can make your teaching and learning more visible. So I appreciate you watching and joining me today. So thank you very much. And please reach out to your emerging technology team if you need any support with this. Bye for now.